centuries, humanity has encountered unidentified objects and phenomena in the skies. These extraordinary observations have been passed down through history with mind-boggling stories. Now, it's time to unearth these secrets hidden in the dusty pages of the past and explore the encounters of ancient civilizations with the unknown. This documentary brings together clues spanning from ancient texts to legends, archaeological findings to sacred books. At every step, we will follow the traces of these mysterious encounters dating back thousands of years and invite everyone to form their own interpretations. From ancient accounts bearing surprising similarities to modern reports, humanity's curiosity about the unknown has never waned. Join us in Beyond the Mystery as we unlock the doors to these enigmatic encounters from the depths of history and embark on this fascinating journey. Are we truly alone in the universe? If ancient civilizations had witnessed UFOs in the sky, they would likely have interpreted these phenomena through the lens of their religious beliefs. In a time when knowledge about other planets was non-existent, the concept of extraterrestrial beings would have been inconceivable. How could people thousands of years ago have understood UFO sightings similar to those reported today? The Transfiguration of Jesus. About 8 days after these words, Jesus took Peter, John, and James and went up a mountain to pray. As he prayed, his face shone and his clothes became dazzling white. And behold, 2 men were talking with him, Moses and Elijah. Jesus took Peter, James, and John up a high mountain. There, his face shone like the sun and his clothes became white as light. Elijah and Moses, the prophets, appeared and were talking with him. A cloud shining with light surrounded them, and a voice came from the cloud saying, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." From the perspective of intelligent influence in human history, transfiguration could involve advanced technology. The shining cloud that descended on the mountain might be considered a possible spacecraft or technological event. The appearance of Moses and Elijah could be interpreted as an encounter with entities from another dimension or ancestral extraterrestrial beings. Star of the East. The star they saw in the east went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. This passage describes wise men, often referred to as magi, following a star. It is mentioned that the star went ahead of them, suggesting deliberate movement before it stopped exactly at the birthplace of Jesus. Ordinary stars follow predictable paths, but the Star of the East appeared to move. This has led to speculation about the true nature of the star. Some believe the light to be an artificially produced source, similar to what a UFO might emit. Many UFO sightings report lights exhibiting intelligent movements in the sky. Another theory is that the Star of the East was a planetary conjunction, such as that of Jupiter and Saturn. Others propose it was a supernova, a star explosion visible for an extended period. Daniel's vision of a man in linen. I looked up, and there before me was a man dressed in linen, with a belt of gold from Uphaz around his waist. His body was like beryl, his face like lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and his voice like the sound of a multitude. This vision likely describes a bright, celestial figure understood as a divine messenger, such as the Archangel Gabriel. Some interpretations suggest this represents a theophany, a manifestation of God, or an incarnate form of the Messiah. In the Bible, linen symbolizes purity and holiness and is often associated with angels. Viewed from the angle of extraterrestrial intervention, the dazzling appearance of the figure could describe an entity from an advanced civilization. Physical details such as bronze-like arms and legs may represent the attire or technology used by these beings. The resounding voice, described as the roar of a crowd, could indicate a technologically enhanced form of communication. Enoch and Enoch's ascension. He walked with God, and he was no more because God took him. While not part of the Catholic Bible, the Book of Enoch is included in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Unlike other biblical figures, Enoch is said to have been taken by God without dying. In theology, walking with God means that Enoch lived a life of unwavering devotion to divine laws. Therefore, God rewarded him by taking him directly to heaven, sparing him from death. Alternative interpretations suggest that Enoch was taken aboard a craft by beings from another planet. The Book of Enoch describes how he received celestial knowledge revealed by angels. Could these angels actually have been extraterrestrial beings imparting advanced wisdom? Heavenly throne with mysterious beings. I saw my Lord seated on a high and lofty throne. Each had 6 wings. This passage reflects a striking vision experienced by the prophet Isaiah, where he saw the Lord on a heavenly throne, surrounded by beings known as high angels. As they proclaimed the holiness of God, the voices of these beings shook the foundations of the temple and filled it with smoke. Some interpret the high angels with 6 wings as symbolic metaphors for advanced technology. The wings might represent flight devices or technological attire beyond the comprehension of ancient observers. The high throne could symbolically refer to a sophisticated craft or a high structure. Elijah's chariot. Suddenly, a chariot of fire with horses of fire appeared and separated the two of them, and Elijah went up to heaven in a whirlwind. In this passage, Elijah and Elisha are walking, and a fiery chariot with horses separates them. Immediately after, a whirlwind takes Elijah up to the sky. If we assume these were not real horses, a technological flying object might appear as a chariot surrounded by fire to an ancient observer. Mentioning horses could symbolize the energy sources powering the object. Furthermore, Elijah's ascent in a whirlwind resembles modern accounts of extraterrestrial abductions. John's visions. After this, I looked, and there before me was a door standing open in heaven, and the first voice I heard speaking to me like a trumpet said, "Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after this." At once I was in the Spirit, and there before me was a throne in heaven with someone sitting on it. This verse describes John's vision of an open door in heaven, symbolizing the entrance to the heavenly realm. The voice John heard, as powerful as a trumpet, is believed to belong to Christ. John's being in the Spirit suggests he entered a prophetic state and experienced spiritual realities. In heaven, he sees a throne representing God's sovereign authority over the universe. From the perspective of intelligent intervention, this passage could be interpreted as describing an interdimensional portal. The throne in heaven has been understood by some as a depiction of a device, room, or craft beyond John's comprehension. Ezekiel's visions. In the fire was what looked like glowing metal, and in the center of the fire were 4 living creatures. Ezekiel describes seeing creatures beside wheels that looked like eyes. These were not ordinary wheels. Each one had another wheel within it, allowing them to move in any direction. For someone like Ezekiel living in ancient times, such a vision would be both astonishing and incomprehensible. Could this be an attempt to describe a spacecraft with advanced propulsion systems? The eyes on the wheels might represent lights, as if observing the scene. The angel announcing Samson's birth. And the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman and said, "You are barren and childless, but you are going to become pregnant and give birth to a son." This passage recounts the angel of the Lord announcing to Manoah's wife, who was barren, the birth of Samson. The angel foretells Samson's birth, gives instructions on how he should be raised, and outlines his divine purpose. This event fits a recurring pattern in the Bible, where God directly intervenes in the lives of chosen individuals to fulfill his salvation plan. Manoah's wife describes the angel as a man of God with an appearance that was awe-inspiring. When angels appear in the Bible, they often elicit fear, reflecting their connection to God's power and holiness. Could this angel of the Lord be a being with advanced technology? Were these awe-inspiring appearances the result of technology incomprehensible to ancient observers? the pillar of fire leading the Israelites. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so they could travel by day and night. This passage describes how God guided Israel in the desert with a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. The pillar indicated the way, protected them from the Egyptians, and served as a reminder of God's presence. It did not remain stationary. It moved ahead of the people, showing them the way forward. A natural phenomenon does not deliberately guide a group of people. Could this have been a UFO or some kind of craft? The pillar of cloud might represent a cloaking system, while the pillar of fire might represent a propulsion mechanism. Theologically, the pillars were signs that God was with the Hebrew people. The Book of Enoch. This collection of texts, despite having a significant impact on early Christianity and Judaism, is not considered sacred by Catholicism or most Christian denominations. Recognized by the Ethiopian Church, this book tells the story of the Watchers, the Nephilim, and Enoch's journeys to heaven. Fire from heaven on Sodom and Gomorrah. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. The cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, notorious for their wickedness, were doomed to destruction due to their sins. The Lord sent fire and sulfur from the heavens upon the cities, reducing them to ruins in an instant with a sudden destruction comparable to large-scale explosions. Some scientists have sought natural explanations such as volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, or widespread fires. Another possibility is that the fire originated from a meteor exploding in the atmosphere. From the perspective of ancient technological intervention, the rain of fire and sulfur could be a description of some sort of weapon or advanced technology. Could an unknown device have triggered a massive explosion akin to a bomb? The Watchers and the Nephilim. A group of 200 angels known as the Watchers were sent to observe the earth. However, after making a pact, they descended and took human women as wives, producing hybrid offspring known as the Nephilim. These Nephilim are described as giants of immense power who eventually caused chaos on earth, disrupting the natural order. According to the Book of Enoch, these beings shared knowledge of metallurgy, cosmology, agriculture, magic, and astrology with humanity. Zechariah's vision of the flying scroll. I looked again, and there before me was a flying scroll. He asked me, "What do you see?" I answered, "I see a flying scroll, 30 feet long and 15 feet wide." This is one of the prophetic visions given to Zechariah, symbolizing God's judgment against evil and corruption. The scroll's dimensions are notable, 30 feet long and 15 feet wide. The fact that the scroll was suspended in the air suggests that Zechariah might have been describing something akin to a vehicle. Another interpretation proposes that the flying scroll was an observation device, flying over the land to monitor people and their actions. Enoch's heavenly journey. Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah, is taken on a heavenly journey by the angels. It describes how Enoch was transported from earth to heaven through a form of wind or unknown energy. God's purpose was for Enoch to witness his throne and the place where the Watchers would be punished, so he could relay these messages to humanity. Enoch describes his journey as passing through a dark region resembling space. During the journey, he experiences visions of various houses or temples filled with bright lights and shimmering crystals. Eventually, he arrives at a structure with translucent crystal walls and a floor of burning fire. Enoch returns to Earth with the mission to share his visions and warn humanity. This is connected to the accounts of contactees who claim to have encountered extraterrestrial beings. From this perspective, Enoch can be considered one of humanity's first contactees, receiving knowledge from a superior civilization. The smoke on Mount Sinai. The whole of Mount Sinai was covered with smoke because the Lord descended on it in fire. The smoke billowed up like smoke from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently. In the biblical context, fire and smoke are seen as manifestations of God's glory. For an ancient observer, a craft descending onto a mountain might have been perceived as a divine fire. The pillar of smoke rising could be a result of the propulsion systems interacting with the atmosphere. Modern UFO reports occasionally mention heat and clouds of smoke surrounding these objects. The Ark of the Covenant and the glory cloud. When the priests withdrew from the holy place, the cloud filled the temple of the Lord, so the priests could not perform their service because of the cloud. This passage describes a significant moment in Israel's history when the Ark of the Covenant was brought into the Holy of Holies in the Jerusalem temple. This event signified God's presence, showing that he accepted the temple as his dwelling place on earth. As the priests carried the ark into the temple, a cloud filled the sacred space. According to the Bible, the Ark of the Covenant contained the tablets of the Ten Commandments, Aaron's rod, and a portion of manna that sustained the Israelites in the desert. The Advanced Intelligence Hypothesis suggests that the Ark could have been a technological device with extraordinary properties. The glory cloud might have been a manifestation of radiation emitted by the Arkansas. Some even propose that the Ark served as a kind of communicator between the Israelites and extraterrestrial beings. The shining angel descending from heaven. I saw another mighty angel coming down from heaven, wrapped in a cloud, with a rainbow above his head. His face was like the sun, and his legs were like pillars of fire. According to John's description, this angel is a radiant figure symbolizing a deep connection with the divine. This depiction in biblical literature is extraordinary and suggests great authority with its remarkable features. From the perspective of extraterrestrial intervention, the radiance and the surrounding cloud might indicate a spacecraft or an energy field. In ancient times, such a bright entity would naturally be perceived as an angel or a divine being. The appearance of angels to Abraham. While sitting at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day, the Lord appeared to him near the great trees of Mamre. Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "My Lord, if I have found favor in your eyes, do not pass your servant by." These visitors delivered a message about the future birth of the promised son to Abraham and Sarah, and also heralded the judgment on Sodom and Gomorrah. Initially, the 3 messengers appeared as ordinary men, but as the story progresses, it becomes clear they were celestial beings. It is believed that at least one of these visitors was a manifestation of God, while the other 2 were angels. The physical appearance of God in human form is confusing since the Bible typically describes him as a spirit. From the perspective of advanced civilizations, these 3 visitors could have been beings from another world assuming a human-like form. The promise of Isaac's birth, despite Abraham and Sarah's old age, could exemplify biotechnological intervention. Gabriel's annunciation to Mary. The angel went to her and said, "Greetings, you who are highly favored. The Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women." It is narrated that God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth to speak with Mary, a young woman betrothed to Joseph, a descendant of King David. Mary's selection, as a humble and ordinary figure, emphasizes the message that God chooses ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary purposes. Gabriel delivers the main message. She will conceive and give birth to a son and name him Jesus. The child will be called the Son of the Most High and will inherit the throne of David, reigning forever. Mary, confused, asks, "How will this be, since I am a virgin?" Gabriel explains that the Holy Spirit will come upon her, and God's power will make conception possible without human intervention. From the perspective of ancestral contact, the angel Gabriel could be seen as a being with advanced technology, possibly of extraterrestrial origin. Some proponents suggest that the miraculous conception of Jesus could be interpreted as a form of genetic manipulation. The radiant face of Moses. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the covenant law in his hands, he was not aware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. This passage describes what happened when Moses came down from Mount Sinai, carrying the tablets of the 10 Commandments. His face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord, leaving a profound impact on the Israelites. His face was so bright that Moses had to cover it with a veil while speaking to the people. Could he have been exposed to an energy source produced by a craft or an extraterrestrial being? However, there is no evidence that radiation exposure causes a visible, temporary glow on the skin. From a traditional perspective, Moses' radiant face is seen as a sign of spiritual authority. The voice at Jesus' baptism. As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up out of the water. At that moment, heaven was opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased." Jesus' baptism by John the Baptist in the Jordan River marks the beginning of his public ministry. This act represents obedience to God's will and a profound connection with the humanity he came to save. The heavens opening symbolize divine intervention. The Holy Spirit descends like a dove and alights on Jesus. The voice from heaven is one of the rare occurrences in the Bible where God speaks audibly for others to hear. The declaration, "This is my Son, whom I love," lies at the heart of Christian theology, affirming Jesus as the Son of God. From the perspective of ancestral contact, advanced technology could have facilitated this. The transmission of the voice from the sky and the dove-like form could be technological artifacts described in a way witnesses could understand. The ascension of Jesus in a cloud. After he said this, he was taken up before their very eyes, and a cloud hid him from their sight. This New Testament account signifies the culmination of Jesus' teachings following his resurrection. After 40 days of preparing his disciples for their mission, Jesus is taken up into heaven in a cloud. In the Bible, a cloud symbolizes God's glory, known as the Shekinah, which accompanied the Israelites in the desert and descended upon Solomon's temple. In Christian theology, the ascension marks the moment when Jesus is acknowledged as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords in heaven. From the perspective of ancestral contact, the cloud that took Jesus could represent an advanced transportation device. Another theory interprets Jesus' ascension as a process of teleportation or transition to another dimension. The angel destroying 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. That night the angel of the Lord went out and put to death 185,000 in the Assyrian camp. When the people got up the next morning, there were all the dead bodies. When King Hezekiah turned to God for help, Jerusalem faced the threat of conquest. Prophet Isaiah delivered a message of hope. God would defend the city and save the people. Overnight, the angel of the Lord killed 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in their camp. Some suggest that the angel of the Lord is a way of describing a natural event, such as a plague or sudden illness. From the perspective of ancient intelligent contact, the angel could represent a being from another world. This entity might have used advanced technology to cause the mass death of the soldiers. Joshua and the sun standing still. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down about a full day until the nation avenged itself on its enemies. Is this not written in the book of Jasher? This account describes the determined battle led by Joshua against the Amorites. At a critical moment, Joshua prayed for the sun and moon to stand still, giving his troops time to defeat their enemies. The traditional interpretation sees this as a divine miracle, demonstrating God's willingness to intervene on behalf of his people. A speculative but intriguing perspective suggests that the story might describe manipulation of time. An advanced civilization could have altered the flow of time locally or created a perception of a pause among the living. The journey of Jonah. But the Lord provided a large fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. After being thrown into the sea during a storm sent by God, Jonah is swallowed by a large fish. He stays inside the creature for 3 days and 3 nights before being vomited onto dry land. The text does not specify what kind of creature this large fish was, leading to debates about whether it was an ordinary fish, a whale, or some unknown sea creature. The ancient contact hypothesis interprets the fish as an advanced vessel or submarine capable of underwater travel. The lack of technological terminology in ancient times may have led people to describe a submarine-like vehicle as a large fish. Beyond the mystery. In this episode, we explored the majestic accounts from the depths of history, linking them to advanced technologies and possible extraterrestrial beings. The striking visions and extraordinary events in the Bible may reflect both divine intervention and the boundaries of understanding for ancient observers. The transfiguration of Jesus, Daniel's vision of the man in linen, Isaiah's vision of the heavenly throne, John's experience of the door open in heaven, and the angel announcing the birth of Samson. All these stories represent humanity's timeless curiosity and quest for meaning. By merging these ancient narratives with modern technological concepts, we open a window into the unknown pages of history. Who knows, perhaps in the future, we will continue to delve deeper into the truths behind these ancient stories. This journey is just the beginning. In the upcoming episodes, we will continue to uncover more mysteries. Now, close your eyes and imagine the secrets hidden behind the veil of history. These stories, transcending time and space, will all